Hello and welcome back to the Beyond the Coach podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kelsey Nanini.
And I'm Crispy.
And I was just looking at my mic and it collected dust since we haven't podcasted in 2 weeks.
Mine also has collected quite a bit of dust. And, we love like the black aesthetic that is black, but like the dust that can show.
I got my car washed on Monday because the monsoon that hit while we were gone, my car was in the airport parking garage and it got blasted. And we went and took it to get a car wash on Monday. And Monday night, we had another small dust storm.
Are monsoons dust storms?
They usually come together. Well, sometimes.
I was like, isn't monsoons water?
Monsoon is water. It's like heavy rain. It's always nice when it comes after the dust storm. Like they kind of come like around the state, like this a big storm, but we had like there was no rain that came with the haboob. Or if there was, my car was in a parking garage, so
it wasn't.
Dust came, but
you weren't going to get much help.
I think that we had a little water last night, but I'm not entirely positive. Monsoons are great because, well, they're not because we flood, but dust storms are not great, and it's supposed to be storming all week, and I have a black car. I'm like, damn it.
I'm gonna have to really prepare myself for that. I saw it on TikTok, and my mom thought it was AI when I showed it to her.
Oh my god, no, it was real. That was crazy. Like my brother, whoa,
Oh my gosh,
what's that?
that was Frankie. Sorry for all your eardrums.
Jeez. My brother sent me a video because he lives by the airport, and that's where it was like the worst, and it was insane. But we always miss the good storms for some reason, or at least
it was
I
so
do.
funny. There was that TikTok, and it was like it was the airport, and it's the Southwest plane being like literally taking off as it's rolling in, and the amount of like the comment section of this TikTok was like my entertainment for the night. I just kept reading it. And it was so funny. People were like pilots saying, "Buckle up, people! We're getting out of here now."
Literally,
No delays on my watch.
I'm surprised that wasn't like a Spirit flight. You're like, oh, well, I could not imagine flying in that.
No, especially if you see that coming. That's just crazy. So
It is crazy because you see so much. Like, you can see the whole, like, you can see so far here, and you can see when stuff's coming in, you're like, oh my gosh, we're about to just get blasted.
yeah.
But we don't get a lot of, like, that aggressive monsoon up here because we have so many, like, mountains that cover it. At least that's our assumption. They just die out before they get to us.
Yep.
Because they all a lot of times come from the south. But anyways, my mic
Enough
is
about
collecting
weather.
dust. Weather and dust. We're going to talk about just like how to maintain business and life amidst life changes and like chaos in life, because Chris has a big move coming up in actually just a couple of weeks now that this is going to be posted, actually maybe like a week and a half. Now that this is being
that's
posted.
crazy.
And we both have had a lot of life changes happening this year, and life is always going to life, right? Like, things are always going to happen, and we want to just talk about more so, like, how Chris is kind of preparing for it, and I'll obviously chime in a little bit too, but we wanted to just give a little insight into, like, what that looks like and how we can somewhat maintain things that we're doing on an everyday basis, but how things also adjust as well.
All right. Well, we had a little mishap. We're moving on. But I think one of the hardest things for entrepreneurs is just staying steady in business. Like, when life is happening, it sucks because I know in the beginning of business, when things were happening, I would just kind of ghost my business. I was just kind of like, I'll put this on the side. I'll get to it later. I'll do this. Like, I was always fulfilling client side, but everything else would kind of drop off. And at the end of the day, this didn't help business. And I had to learn firsthand from this really in 2023 too, was kind of like early 2019, before I had left my full-time job. It was kind of this optional thing in my head. Like, oh, it's optional for me to show up. It's optional for me to get on Instagram and to be like marketing myself and doing all the little nitty-gritty tasks. Then you have what happened to me in 2023 when everything had kind of happened with like Bo, and there was a lot going on there. And sorry, the trash truck is here if you guys hear that. We're so close. We're at the finish line of me having my own office and not working from our kitchen table. So I just need to say that. Talk about staying steady. No excuses. If you need to work from your kitchen table and the gas
guy.
the gas guy,
the gas
whether
truck,
it's the gas guy, the trash truck, whatever's passing by.
all of your construction.
I'm telling you, messy action has gotten me farther than perfection ever will. So
Yes.
there's that. But staying steady in that, it's so easy to ebb and flow. And I had to relearn that in 2023. Like, I definitely take a lot of accountability. And I think that's another thing as entrepreneurs we have to take, is like saying, hey, I'm responsible for this. Like, I'm the reason that things got from here to here. I can't blame cancer. I can't blame grief. I can't blame, life and jobs and layoffs and anything like that was happening in my personal life for the result that my business had, because my business is not me. And like, it's so hard to almost do that removal. But we learned a lot about the feminine and then the masculine side of business. And the masculine is where I have to retreat to when shit is going down. Like, when things are happening, I can't be in my feminine side of business, because then the feminine side of me is like, okay, I am going to rest, or I'm going to do this, or I'm going to do that, whatever. That's when the business goes ghost, versus when I'm in my masculine, it's like I'm still logging onto my computer. Shit can be happening in the background. I can be going through change, the move, all these logistics. I can have a checklist of things I need to do in my head, but I can separate myself enough to say my business is separate from anything going on in my personal life. And I really need to make sure that I have that separation and it's healthy for me. And so it's not easy, but it sucks when you can't give in to the excuses. And then it's one of the most empowering things when you can sit back and call yourself out on it too. And just to say, hey, I'm not this. My business cannot be a reflection of this. What's happening in my personal life is happening in my personal life. It's not to affect the business. And so the reason Kelsey and I decided to even like talk about this, as Kelsey said, is like, one, Kelsey has a huge upcoming change happening. We're bringing a whole child to this world. Yes, we are bringing a child.
We are all doing it together. We're all in this together.
We are all collectively working toward this child coming into the world. And for me, I'm having a huge life change of literally moving across the country. Then you pair in all the stuff that you guys, if you've been listening for a while, know happened this year for myself. We also just lost my mother-in-law, sadly. So it's just kind of been like one hit after another. And it feels like every time I come up for air, another wave hits. But how do you stay steady in all the things? And also, how do you then look forward to the future too? Like, how do you set goals for the future and say, like, this isn't going to be forever? And I always say this, now that Krista, our functional practitioner, said it, of like, it's for now, it's not for always, is literally what I've had to tell myself in my personal life. Like, it's for now, the chaos, the busyness, like looking at September and sitting down with my coach and being like, okay, this week I have this, and this week I have that, and then we're moving, and then we're across the country, and I'll be staying in 4 Airbnbs, and then I'm going to sleep on an air mattress for 5 days. Like, all the chaos that is to come, I know is so temporary. I know come the end of October, I'm going to be in my bed. Our furniture will be in our new place. I'll have my office set up. I'm going to be in a better routine and a better flow. But for now, I have to live in a little bit of this like middle area, middle ground. And the in-betweens are where people either like make it or really break it at the end of the day. I don't know if you want to add anything to that. I've been like rambling pretty.
Yeah, I think that you have to look at it from a business perspective is like, no one's going to do it for you unless you have a big team that quite literally can do it for you. No one's going to do it for you. And especially if you're building, like I think so many people, and I know you see this as a WWBA coach. I saw this when I was a business coach a few years ago. Was one thing happens and you panic and you lose all steam and like everything. And that's just not how business works. Like, business is not a linear progression. It's not going to be all sunshine and rainbows all the time. I think a lot of people see all the people on Instagram that drive Bentleys and show off their shit and are working on a beach and whatever else. And it's just not like that. Like, that's just not the reality of business. And I think you have to always relate it, especially if you're a fitness nutrition coach, you always have to relate it back to your clients. Like, how frustrating is it when you give your client a plan and you're like, follow this, and they're like, I just fell off track. I lost steam, whatever. Like, you're doing that exact same thing in your business if you are not staying consistent and just checking the boxes when things happen and go awry. And so I think just that's the biggest piece with business is remembering, like, if you are a solopreneur, at least right now, nothing happens if you don't make it happen. It's not like your 9 to 5 where if you let up a little bit, more than likely someone else is probably going to pull like a little more of the slack. It's like, if it's not happening, it's not happening. So like you have to be doing the thing even when it's hard and it sucks, and business does suck a lot. It's frustrating and it's a mind fuck, honestly, all the time. So I think it's just really important to stay consistent through whatever it is, and having a plan when, life goes awry and you don't feel like you can do what you can normally do, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to explain this in the best way possible without sounding like an asshole, but I'm just going to kind of sound like an asshole here for a second. Your business does not give a fuck. Like, your business does not give a fuck what's going on in your life. Like, it sucks when you're a business owner and you're going through emotional things, but you can't make your personal life you can't make your business about the personal life, and vice versa. Like, it does not care. At the end of the day, your clients are paying for a service. At the end of the day, you do have an audience on social media. At the end of the day, you have these things and these structures that are created. And if you decide to go ghost on them, there's going to be obviously a cost for doing that. But I've had to really tell myself, nobody gives a fuck. And that's what's honestly helped me work through it. Instead of being like, my world is burning down and I'm going to throw this onto everybody, and I am very transparent about what I've gone through, but I don't expect other people to carry it or for the business to carry it for me. Then you take some sense of like responsibility and accountability to say, hey, I'm going through this, but my business isn't going to carry it. My clients aren't going to carry it. My business partner isn't going to carry it. Is it great to have each other to lean on? Yes. But at the end of the day, like, I still have roles and tasks and responsibility to the business that I can't go ghost on it for. Can you take a step back to rest? Yes. If you need to take a step back and grieve, if you need to take a step back and go away for a weekend and like unplug, take that appropriate time, but don't give yourself suddenly this allowance of like a day off turns into a week off, 2 weeks off, a month off. And going back to the client thing, it's looking in the mirror and walking the walk and talking that exact talk. What I love about like the GI protocol I've been on recently is I just posted like a travel with me, and I showed like all me putting my supplements into bags and Ziploccing the bags and all this stuff. Does posts like that get the highest engagement? No. But what I love is that it's showing people firsthand, here's how I'm doing this despite this, right? Here's how I'm hitting my protocol despite traveling. And so as I move into this season of moving, I want to show people, hey, here's how I'm continuing to hit my workouts. Here's how I'm continuing to focus on my GI protocol. And for businesses, here's how I'm continuing to prioritize my business as I'm moving or as I'm going through this big change, because somebody out there is doing it. Like, for someone's excuse that they're making of like, oh, well, I'm too tired today, I'm too this, I'm too that. That reason is the very reason why someone else is showing up. Like, your reason for not showing up is someone's reason to show up. Oh, I'm tired. Okay, I'm tired because I'm working a job that I hate and I'm showing up every day for something that I don't enjoy. So because of that, I'm actually going to show up and I'm going to go send this email list today, or I'm going to go send my DMs, or I'm going to go touch base with clients. You have to just flip the script for yourself, and you have to remove the emotion of what you are feeling. You're tired, for me, is not an excuse for me to not show up. Me feeling a certain way is not an excuse, simply because I feel tired multiple times a week. If I said, hey, I'm tired and I'm not going to do it today, we'd get nowhere. We would not be sitting here today. Oh, I'm tired, I don't want to podcast. Oh, I'm this, I don't want to do it. What I see so often in the business coaching world that I'm in is just those excuses that people make. Oh, this happened. Oh, this happened. Oh, this happened. But then, to your point, they get aggravated when a client's coming to them and they're like, oh, I didn't track my macros because it was a busy week. But yet you didn't follow through on one thing in your business this past week. You didn't follow through on your own macros this week because you were too busy with clients even. Okay, hold up the mirror. You're not going to be able to coach someone through something if you are not working through it yourself and learning through that too. Otherwise, you're going to continue to build frustration.
Yeah, I actually find coaches are like the worst about this. It's crazy when you really take a look at like the inside. It's like coaches actually are like the worst repeat offenders in a lot of these things. And I think it's because we all hold ourselves to a higher standard. Like, we are coaches. Like, not that we're not better, but I think some people actually do view that way. Like, we are no different from our clients, and that we're on the same level playing field. Like, we all have, what am I trying to say? We're all human. But I think that a lot of coaches just think like, oh, I'm a coach, so it's okay if I don't do this today.
Yep.
but that's not how it works. And I think that goes along with like fitness, nutrition, everything. Like it's actually surprising when coaches are building their business, how many of them actually take a back seat of their own nutrition and fitness to try to build their business. And then what happens as a result of that is actually that their business also doesn't do well either. And so now they're just doing all of these things not really well, like half-assed everything. Where if instead you kind of looked at it as like, hey, I do need to take care of myself still. There's still things that I need to be doing on a day-to-day basis for me, and that actually helps me show up better in my business. Like maybe I won't be as tired if I eat enough food. Maybe I won't be as tired if I just get some movement in today. And I think it's really that where that mindset starts is you have to come first at some point, because if you aren't taking care of yourself, you can't take care of your business. I've seen it time and time again of people just like completely burning out and being exhausted and run down, and it's largely because they just don't take care of themselves because they don't think it matters. So I think that's a big thing that you have to remember too, and where it kind of comes in for you of like working with your coach and how you guys have game plan to the month. It's like it's not always going to be perfect when you're super busy, or when your life is changing and it's chaotic. It's not going to look the same as it did a few years ago. Like even my routines right now don't look the same as even earlier this year when I was training for my half marathon. I was lifting 3 to 4 times per week, and I was running like, I think I got up to 15 miles a week, which wasn't a lot, but like it was a lot for me. And I was doing a lot more, playing volleyball every week. Like I was doing so much, and now that's just not the case. Like I can't do all the things that I used to do, but that doesn't mean that I'm not doing anything at all. And I think that's the biggest thing when your life is changing. It's like, what can you do? And that's kind of where what you and your coach talked about comes in.
Yeah, and I was going to definitely transition to talking about like the discussion I had with my coach and why guys, I've talked about it time and time again. I freaking love having a coach. Like I just do. I thrive off of it. I am a better version of myself. I'm more steady in life. I'm more steady in business. I can allow myself to be on autopilot, because one subtopic I wanted to add to your point of like just everything, taking care of yourself and like fitness. When you're a coach, it's sometimes really hard to still love fitness when fitness is your job. Like it's actually sometimes hard to get into the gym because you're like, this is my job. I'm going to go into the gym and like, I have to whip out my tripod, or I have to film this for a client, or I have to do that for a client. It can feel like suddenly there's no separation, and now fitness is your business. And now the fitness you fell in love with, the passion you fell in love with kind of dies out. And then you become burnt out and you don't even want to go to the gym. What has helped me with that is having a coach, because now suddenly I'm paying for something that is a passion from someone who it's their job to obviously take care of me. It's their job to support me in this. But now I don't have to sit down and think about my programming after programming for clients all day. I don't have to go into every workout and suddenly be like, oh, well, I need to film this, this, and this. My workout's already laid out for me. Maybe I get inspired mid-workout and I'm like, okay, I want to take a clip of this or get some B-roll of it. There's no like contractual agreement that I have to go into the gym and do this every time, but it can feel that way so much. And so going back to like the discussion I've had with my coach in this most recent check-in, I was like, hey, it's freaking September. Like, what the heck? Like, how are we here? And we just really laid out the month, and we laid out the fact that like I'm still on a GI protocol, and essentially trying to figure out like what are the agreements I need to have with myself during this month? Like what are the non-negotiables or the pillars that like are going to keep me grounded when I know I'm not going to be perfect? Like I know that when I'm driving across the country, I'm not going to be completely on my shit with my GI protocol. I'm just not. Like it's going to be very difficult. Anything could happen on a 15-hour drive. Like we don't know our stops. We don't know our stuff fully yet. And that's just to our first stop. Then we have a lot more. We have a lot more stops after that. We're going ham the first leg of the trip. We're like 15 hours, let's go. But it's going to be difficult. And instead of going into it and thinking, okay, well, let me figure out how to do it all, it's let me figure out how I can just put myself in a better place than I will have been had I not even set these pillars in the first place. So for people who are going in and they're like, oh, well, like this week's really busy, I'm just not going to do like anything, right? And we all have clients in those scenarios. It's like, well, why can't we just get in some steps? Why can't we just get in some hydration? Why can't we focus on that and let that be the pillar of success versus just throwing it all out the window because we can't be perfect? And the same applies to me as a coach, because it's so easy to still, when life is lifing or chaos is happening behind the scenes, for you to just think, what's the point when I'm going to be traveling across the country and doing all this stuff and out of routine? So what I did with my coach is I just really laid out transparently, hey, week by week, like, here's what's going on. My brother's getting married next weekend. I'm going to be out of town Friday to Sunday. Obviously, I'm in the wedding. There's things that I have to be doing and being all over the place for that. Following weekend is like, our pod gets dropped off. I got to pack that bad boy up. And like, that's going to be its own workout in and of itself. And for my GI protocol, one of the things that we're doing is like every week we're kind of progressing myself in some way to see how my body handles additional stressors too. So that even means intensity of workouts. So one of the things that originally was a part of the plan was getting me back up to 4 lifts a week this month. I am the one who said to my coach, hey, I don't think that's smart, actually. Like, after just thinking through like the stress and being in September and a lot of that stress already hitting me, I would rather have a 3-day split that I know I can hit, that I know I can adjust as I need to, because at least 2 days a week, I'm going to be packing up stuff, lifting heavy boxes, putting things in a pod. And then I have to make sure my body is supported enough to then drive across the country too. So there's like a lot of elements that go into it. So instead of looking at it as like, how can I do the most? It's how can I just be in the in-between and what feels good for me in that in-between right now, where I know once I settle in again, I'm going to get to that spot. I'm going to get to training 4 days a week. I'm going to get to this point, but meeting myself a little bit in that middle, that especially as coaches, we hold ourselves to such a high standard, our ego so high up there that it's like, I'm going to handle this and I'm going to do this and all that stuff. Now you've burned out. Now your business is being ghosted because of it, because you are just completely out of alignment in multiple different areas. So that is the game plan. The game plan is for the month of September into like the first, second week of October, following a 3-day split. I'll still be getting my walks in, still be focusing on my steps, my hydration. And then the one rule of thumb I'm following is gluten-free. Like, staying gluten-free for the month is like my focus. There's not going to be, thank God I'm not doing my flush during this time. Like, I'm glad I did the flush when I did, because like it would be really freaking hard to do that this month. But it just goes to show too, and a discussion my coach and I had, is that there truly is no perfect time to do shit like this. There's no perfect time to go on a GI protocol. Like, there simply is not. There's always going to be an excuse. There's always going to be something. But if you really want something, you'll do it. You'll get it. And sometimes that includes you having to put in a little extra work. So that's kind of the barriers, is, hey, get in the basics, the habits that make you feel good. And this obviously is from like health perspective. I'll get into work perspective in a second, but you know, look at what you need to do there. For me, it's 3 lifts, it's water, it's steps. It's focusing on not even tracking macros, just following like basically what my coach and I have is like every day, X amount of protein sources, X amount of fruits and vegetables, X amount of like greens that I have, and then just making sure all of it's gluten-free. So I'm just making sure that I'm getting diversity still in my diet, even though we know the first, like the week of the physical move, then also probably the following week as we're settling in, is going to look a little bit different than, you know, we're used to. So we'll cross that bridge when we get there. But now, how do you convert that all into business, right? When life's happening and chaos is happening and you're going through a move, for me, I'm going to be, again, driving across the country. That's going to make very little time for me to be able to be on my phone, be on Slack, be in, you know, Everfit with my clients. Something I did with Kelsey is already look ahead of time and say, hey, I'm going to block these 2 weeks from calls. Like, I will not be taking calls the last week of September into that first week of October, because I'm just going to be all over the place. And I know I'm going to be stressed. And this is where it's okay to look at it as like the rubber band. You're pulling the rubber band back for you to be able to shoot forward more successfully once the dust kind of settles a bit. So for me, it's, hey, let me pull back on calls. Let me pull back on what's physically on my calendar to allow my capacity to still be able to serve the things that I need to do on the back end. So when we're doing our road trip, at the end of every night, I'm going to basically like get on my phone, get on my computer for at least an hour or two. And I'm just going to be super diligent. Like, let's be honest, if you sit down at your computer distraction free, you can get a lot of work done in a 2-3 hour time block. Like, you really can. So for me, it's being realistic, looking ahead, looking at the days and how long we'll be traveling for, knowing that the first day, Monday, when we're doing that 15-hour drive, I'm probably going to let clients know, hey, I'll get back to you on Tuesday, because like Monday is going to be this long day for me. So being realistic, setting boundaries where you need to is totally appropriate. What's not appropriate is saying, hey, I'm just not going to plan at all and I'm just going to wing it. Like, you can't do that as a business owner. You simply cannot wing it and just figure it out when you're there. When I wing it, I'm not getting up any social media posts. I feel like I'm not fulfilling clients. I feel like I'm behind on messages constantly. Whereas if I can look at my capacity and adjust that, I'm in such a better place because of it.
Yeah, and to that point of winging it, I was going to kind of touch on just like having an everyday routine, especially for if you're like, you mentioned in the beginning of your business how you still worked full time. I was like very thankful when I started my business that I kind of already had one, but I didn't. Like, I trained in person and I did a little online because of COVID. Like, I was like, well, I'm not going back to a job. Um, but it's still a grind regardless. I actually moved. I've never actually talked about this, but when I initially started my very first business coach, when my business just like skyrocketed, was actually 2 months prior to when we moved to Arizona. So I started the business coaching on March 1st, which was actually almost exactly a month after my big knee surgery. So I was like still not actually even walking. I was on crutches when I started this business, and I hit my biggest month of all time. Like, I literally quadrupled my income from February to March. And then we moved towards the end. We moved May 22nd. So I think we left May 19th or May 20th. To move, and my business stayed. I had actually just hired my first assistant coach, which is insane, right before moving, and got her all trained up the 2 weeks before. It was chaos. Like, I don't actually, I like think I blocked that part out of the fact that that was like the most chaotic time of trying to take. I remember we had moved in, and I took a sales call the day after we moved in. And my family,
Wow.
I remember, like, they were waiting for me to go to dinner. And I was like, I have a sales call. I got to take it. Hindsight, I remember that specific client actually ended up being the worst client ever.
Oh no.
Horrible client. I still think about him. He still scarred me. But anyways, I think that's the biggest thing, is actually having a routine. And it's something that I had to learn. Like, you were talking about the masculine and feminine side of business, and it took me a really long time to learn the feminine side. I was never like super like slow and soft. Like, I was always just grinding. Like, it was always a grind no matter what I was doing. When I was a head coach at Orange Theory, I like worked so much because I genuinely just cared about the success of the company. I did a lot more tasks than I needed to, and I feel like that's just always been me, is like doing more than I actually have to do. So I had to learn to like take a step back. And in that, I learned to actually have a schedule. Like, it's not to do everything that you need to do in the day. Like, you're not programming for a client every day. You're not taking check-ins every day or taking sales calls every day. And there was a time when I actually tried to spread my check-ins throughout the week. And then I would take sales calls. I would do check-ins. I would do programming, I would do marketing, I would try to make content, and like, honestly, my content was kind of banging back then. Like, I just did everything. I don't know how I survived. I'm still thinking about that.
I do think of like 2019,
I'm like,
2020 me, and I'm like, you were kind of a crackhead. Like,
yeah,
what were
like,
you
what
doing?
was I doing? How was I doing? How was I could not have been. Oh, and that was also when I started business coaching. I started business coaching in May when we moved.
That's wild.
Okay, that's
Our capacity, we were a whole different breed in
like,
2020.
who was I in 2022, 2021? Like, I don't know
Yeah.
what was going on, but I just grinded, I guess, and I was fine, but I wasn't fine because a couple months later, a year later, I ended up burning down my business and like starting all over and learning more of the feminine side. But to that point, it's like, I think a lot of people could perceive it as like, my life is chaos anyways. Why would I try to have a routine in my business? But it's like, why wouldn't you? Because when
Right.
you have that routine, and I actually had to talk to a client about this recently because she's a mom and she's going to be homeschooling her son starting this fall. And she's like, I just like know that, he's not going to be going back to school this year. We're going to homeschool him. And I know I have to have a very small window of time where he's still sleeping that I can do all of the work I need for my business. And she felt like that was really daunting. And I was like, well, what if you just tell yourself, like, I have 4 hours. Everything that I have to get done is in that 4-hour time window. Well, now you're using your time a lot more wisely than you were before, when you were getting distracted and starting a task and not finishing it and kind of going through that process. So I think that's a big thing. And that's something that I'm trying to take into, obviously, my big life change, because luckily for you, like, yours is temporary. It's like this month and a half of chaos. Mine is now chaos as my life. And then in a couple of years, yours will be chaos as your life. And so now I have to consider, like, okay, my life is I mean, we do live in chaos, like just in general. I think that
I think Burrow warmed you up to
Burrow for sure
a lifetime of chaos, like in my opinion. Little did you
did
know,
we choose this life?
he was the subtle foreshadowing of you having a child, I think, actually. That's Burrow's purpose in the world. Like
Burrow, we were like, oh, it's fine, we'll get Burrow, and then 2 years later we'll have a child. It'll be perfect. It's like, how about a year? Speaking of Burrow, he was the sweetest this morning. He was laying in bed. He took up my whole bed this all night. I was uncomfortable, which is not great for a pregnant woman who's uncomfortable as it is. He woke me up by just licking my face all over. Like, he actually is super sweet in the morning, which is great. But then he's Hurricane Burrow the rest of the day. Such a Sour Patch Kid. But I think you're right. He did warm us up to that. So it's kind of nice. But I think that something I have to start working on is assuming the chaos and knowing, like, my schedule is going to change and I just have to work a lot smarter. And my husband and I have talked about this because we're very lucky in the sense that we both work from home. So for right now, we won't have a nanny. Eventually, we will, because we want to actually get work done. But we're going to start with shifts, and we actually learned this from Alessandra.
Yeah,
and her husband. They do
shifts.
What
you're talking about. Yep.
And it seems to have worked out really well for them. And because my husband's a mortgage loan officer, a lot of his stuff happens at nighttime. A lot of his calls happen in the early afternoon at night, and I actually prefer in the morning times. So I get my time in the morning and he'll get his time at night to do his work, and I'll have the baby. Obviously, for me it's a little different with breastfeeding and stuff. It's full-time job, but I can at least we'll figure it out. But that's the thing is I have to tell myself, okay, I have from 5 a.m. to 1 p.m. to get everything that I need done, including workout, including all of the work I need to do, all of my check-ins, all of my meetings. And it's that is going to look a little different. I'm sure it won't be the same every single day, but that's the goal, is that it is pretty consistent in that. And so I think when you just have that, you have a focus, you have a specific thing that needs to get done, that you can execute on it and do it. But that involves having a routine. With me knowing I have this window of time I have to get all the things done I need to, that's not doing check-ins, marketing, content, sales calls, everything in that window. It's I have to determine this day I'm doing all check-ins. And this is what I've already been doing for the past 4 years is Mondays are a check-in day. I have a few meetings that happen. If we really, really, really need to schedule a meeting that day, I'll do it. But I don't do anything content related that day. If it's getting posted, it's already been planned out. Tuesdays, just a few check-ins, and then overflow. There's some meetings that day, but it's mostly client focused, and anything that I didn't attend to on Monday because I was fully in check-in mode. And then Wednesday is project stuff. It's kind of a chance for me to slow down, just do a lot more in the business and work or on the business, I guess. And then Thursday, kind of the same thing, but I do have one check-in. And then I try to be really creative on Friday. Even though we own businesses, I feel I still want a weekend. I know people are any day can be a weekend, which is true. It's the nice part about business is you can take a day off in the middle of the week and figure your shit out. But that's just the schedule that has worked for me. And I always encourage clients to find that too, because even amidst chaos, if you just have those tasks to do every day and you tell yourself the small things that need to get done, it's a lot easier to get them done versus being oh my gosh, today I have 10 things on my to-do list and now I have to check every single thing off. That, if I have 10 things on my to-do list, nothing is getting done. I'm just going to be scrolling on my phone all day because I don't want, it's daunting. So I think it's just really trying to have those smaller focuses.
Yeah, a piece of advice I just gave to one of my business clients yesterday was she was feeling really overwhelmed. She sent me a voice memo and she's like, "Hi, Chris, I have this and this and this and this and this. And oh, I'm behind on this. And then I want this. And, then I have this big idea that I want to throw your way." And I'm dude, that's entrepreneurship. Kelsey and I both have sat down with each other and had to be whoa, let's slow down for a second.
Yeah.
We've both had to say to each other, I think that this is better to put at this point. Because
we did it yesterday a lot.
Yesterday we literally sat down and was what do we need to prioritize? And as entrepreneurs, we're visionaries. Our brains are going to be oh my God, I want this and these big concepts and these big ideas. It's also really easy to get down on yourself for all the things you haven't done. Like you're really, really, really hard on yourself. You're your toughest, hardest critic, truly. But this client, I said to her, I said, I want you to sit down with a Google document. And I want you to literally brain dump all these things onto a Google document. And I want you to then organize it by priorities, wants, and needs. Priorities is like life or death. Like if you don't do these things, your business burns down. Obviously, needs are like things less serious as life or death, but things that you absolutely need in the business as a needle mover. And then wants are just like those projects, those visionary ideas, those things where you're like, oh, I'd love to make this freebie and I'd love to do this and I'd love to do that. And I said, I want you to sit that down, and this is now your task list. This is now the order of events that need to happen. You can hold space for your wants and your visionary ideas, but now you have a place to put them. And like they're in front of you to say, hey, this eventually is going to happen. We're going to get there, but everything above this needs to happen first. And so like, to your point with theming days, when I'm moving, my theme days are going to be so important to me with the move of like, okay, check-ins. This is my 4-hour block on Tuesday after we've driven for the day to go get all of this done. And it allows me to say when you do have a lot on your plate. So for example, with the move, our pod isn't going to get there until like we arrive like the first weekend of October, like right before the first weekend. Our pod won't get there until like mid the following week, basically. So it's going to be kind of chill when we first get there because it's like nothing's going to be there. I'm going to be like, okay, like dogs have their crates. They have their homes. I've got a roof over my head, like do a grocery shop. That's, it. But come the next week, I know when the pod comes, my brain's going to be centered on, I need to unpack this pod. Like I need to get this thing empty because it's going to get picked up the following week. And with that is where theme days are so critical and crucial, is because you've themed your days to then say, hey, here's my priority list for this day. Once I get this done, I can go unpack the pod. Like I can go do the thing that I need to do, but this is the priority. They're both priorities. They're two things that need to get done, but you have a whole day to do it. And really being diligent. And I think if you guys are struggling with your time management, it's asking yourself, well, where are you spending your time? Doing a time audit on yourself to reestablish that. Because even when things are chaotic, like again, it's not a permission slip to not do something, to not show up for your business. And that goes through all of it. Traveling, even like when I was in Bali and Thailand last year, I was waking up at like 4:30 in the morning to do 2-3 hours of work before my friend would wake up, because that's just what I needed to do. That was my commitment to my business, and me as a business owner has to do that. So yes, going back to your point of social media with the Bentleys and travels and working by the beach and all that stuff, sometimes entrepreneurship is being in the trenches. Sometimes it's literally waking up at 4:30 in the morning in a different country so that you can go enjoy your day the rest of the day. There's sides of entrepreneurship that isn't so sexy. And it comes in those moments of chaos where entrepreneurship can actually feel really hard, because as entrepreneurs, we don't get PTO. We don't get time off the same way an average 9-to-5er does. That's probably my biggest jealousy, I would say, with my friends who work normal jobs, is that hey, they can go take PTO. They can go on vacation and not have to worry about anybody contacting them. They don't have to look at their email and their text and respond to anyone. They're not committed to that. As a business owner, you are. And so to Kelsey's point with what she's doing for obviously preparing for motherhood, it's boundaries, but it's still things that fulfill the business, but then also fulfill the other priority, which is family. So it's just shifting those things around where you need to, and recognizing that things are going to change, but don't hold yourself ball and chain to one thing. Hold yourself to the idea of, hey, here's my top priorities. Here's what needs to get done. Maybe that gets done for the first few hours of the morning. Maybe that has to get pushed back to the end of the night, but your commitment to yourself is that it gets done by the end of the day, and everything else can kind of fall into place where you need to. Because some people just get so stuck on this perfect schedule and this perfect cadence. And I'm like, life is not perfect. And if there is anything I've learned from 2023 to now, or if anything truly in general that 2025 taught me, is you're not going to be able to plan for everything. You're not going to know what comes next. Your schedule, your pillars are what holds you and keeps you grounded. But that's going to look different week by week, depending on what life's throwing your way. It's just what it is.
Yeah, and to your point of vacation, it's something that actually took my mom a long time to grasp, because my parents are both W-2 employees. My dad's a teacher, my mom's an accountant. They live their life, their vacations are PTO, and I know for a lot of people that's the same thing. You just have a certain amount of time, and it actually made me sad. On vacation, we did a coffee tour, and there was 3 couples, and we didn't know them. But there was this couple from San Francisco, and they were like, hey, like asking, like the tour guide was like, what, you know, what are you guys all here for? And Kate and I are like, oh, like just vacation. Like we're expecting our first child. And, you know, just wanted to get away for one last time. And, the next people went and she's like, what are you guys here for? And he's like, I had PTO. And like, it actually saddened me because I think it's like, that's what a lot of people like, you just take vacation because you have PTO. And so while yes, it sucks having to work on vacation and do work block in the morning or at night, it also is so nice to have the ability to do that, but that doesn't mean you fully take a vacation. I always tell coaches this. I'm like, hey, determine what the purpose of your vacation is. Like for me, actually, I was really proud of my husband because he's a workhorse. Like he will take a call in the middle of a conversation. And for me, that's something that I have just learned happens. And that's okay because now I know he's providing for our family. And there are times where I do get him uninterrupted. But there's also times where he has to do work. His real estate, we always joke, we're like, real estate doesn't sleep. Like it's always going, even when you don't expect it to. And so I've learned to be okay with that. But during vacation, we actually both were able to really try to be like as unplugged as possible, knowing it was only really 4 full days we were there. And it was our last, like actually gave me anxiety. It was our last vacation not being parents, which is fucking crazy. But we did our best to do that, where normally we went to Italy 2 years ago and we had work blocks because the nice part with Italy is everything shuts down pretty much from like 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. really. Like there's not a lot to do besides like tourist stuff. There's no like not a lot of food open. There's not a lot of happy hour there. So we had like a 4-5 hour block where we either took a nap or we did work. And that's just something we did. Even in Hawaii, I knew I had to finish my check-ins. We didn't have Wi-Fi on the plane, which actually really like ruined me because I was going to do all my check-ins.
The no Wi-Fi on planes that happened to me going to and from like Thailand and Bali. And I was like fully
14
prepared,
hours.
like 14-hour flight. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to crank out so many things. Like I remember being so excited for the plane ride. Then for there to be no Wi-Fi.
Especially if you don't plan for it. I didn't prep anything. I had like 4 downloaded shows, which was going to get me something. But like, luckily it was only a 5-hour flight.
There needs
I
to
couldn't
be a
imagine
public
14.
service announcement, okay? Like if I'm getting on a freaking plane and there's no Wi-Fi, I expect 30-day notice and then another notice prior
but also,
to
like,
my
what
flight.
are we? So they had said like on 2 different. So like Hawaiian has 3 different planes they use, and on the other 2, they had Starlink. On this one, they had nothing. And I was like, are you fucking serious? Like, how do you have... And, like, I heard one lady say, like, everyone's going to be real bored on this flight. And I was like, no, I'm just going to be really not productive because I had a plan. So, to that point, I couldn't do my check-ins on the plane. I had planned on doing all written check-ins. We normally do Loom check-ins. And I had a whole plan. And that didn't happen. So, like, on our layover in Honolulu, we had 2 hours. We were at lunch, and I was on my laptop. Like, yeah, that probably to everyone else looked like shit because I'm, like, on my laptop while we're having lunch. I'm like, I have to do this. And then at the gate, I was, like, finishing my check-ins. And then we got to the hotel at the end of the night, and I was like, I really don't want to have to wake up in the morning and do check-ins. Like, I really just want to get it done so we can have a slow morning, and I don't have to worry about, like, getting up and being on my laptop. Like, I just want to finish it now. So I grinded them out for like an hour from like 8 to 9 p.m. on our first day there. And like, was that fun? No, but it just had to be done. And then I was done. And then I really only had to worry about like, I know we texted a little bit, I got on Slack a little bit, but like for the most part, I took it unplugged. Now there's some vacations where I do work. It's a working vacation where I know it's like, maybe it's a place I've been before and I know we have time in the day to, you know, do things. But I think it's just really determining on vacation, which that's not necessarily chaos, but it is out of routine. You have to determine what that vacation looks like. And I think it can be hard, like in your case where at least, you know, Kenneth understands, but like your husband doesn't have to work on vacation. And so I think it can be very hard in those partnerships where, you know, one person has PTO and is off and the other person isn't and has to do work, and that can be really, really tough. And I think for the self-employed person, you can feel really guilty for not being super, you know, present, and that can kind of force you to be like, okay, maybe I just don't need to do that thing. But that's where that masculine has to come in. It's like, hey, it's a couple hours, and maybe it's not at the right, it's a weird time, like you said, maybe it's 4:30 a.m. and you're doing things before someone gets up. maybe that's just what has to be done. It's obviously easier said for me because Kaden and I both have to do work at times. So it's like, hey, let's just have a work block and we'll get it done. But I think that's really what you have to do. I don't have you if you have anything to speak to on that too, from your experience of having that situation.
Yeah, I mean, Thailand and Bali was like the hardest for me. Talk about chaos. Like travel is chaos. Like travel, especially as an entrepreneur, especially for newer entrepreneurs who are not used to it. Like I have talked to so many of my business clients who have come to me in a literal panic. Like, I'm about to go to Florida for a week. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, well, to your point, I'm like, what do you want out of this vacation? Like, that's the first thing. It's the same thing we ask lifestyle clients. Well, what type of vacation is this going to be? Is it going to be a do nothing trip where you don't want to track, you don't want to work out, none of that? Or is it going to be hey, I want to have some level of progress. I want to have some level of like groundedness during this. And so Thailand and Bali was the hardest because the friend that I was going traveling with, she's a travel nurse. She was in between assignments. So she didn't even have work period. She didn't have anything to really worry about when we were out there, and we were out there for 2.5 weeks. I can't take 2.5 weeks off business. Like I simply can. As an entrepreneur, that's like literally impossible. I'm just not going to be able to do that.
I got anxiety thinking of that.
Literally, I'm like, maybe one day if I can have like a evergreen type, if we invest in an evergreen type of business that can just sit and operate without me, I'm not sure. But what was so stressful about it was truly me trying to figure out, when am I going to work? Because I want to play. Like I want to have fun. I am in Thailand and Bali for the first and last time. I don't plan to revisit those countries. Like I want to live it up. I want to have fun. We had busy excursions. I also didn't want to take away from my friends' experience either. Like I didn't want her to be like, hey, I want to go do these things. I don't want her exploring Thailand and Bali by herself. Like I want to be with her. I want to like, be there and be a part of this that we both invested a lot of money into to make it out there. But at the same point, I have that priority and that commitment to myself. So going back to what I said in the beginning, like you can have every excuse in the book, right? 4:30 in the morning comes, my alarm goes off. I was freaking tired. Like I was jet lagged. My body was like so confused. It's freaking pitch black outside. I'm like, what's happening? You can make every excuse in the book, but for every excuse you are making, that is someone else's why to keep going. Like, oh, I'm tired, but again, I want to go have a full day of adventure. So I'm going to sit down. I'm going to do this. You have to, I love using but, and I love using despite. Like, despite being tired, I'm still going to go do this. And it's almost going back to even the Nike saying of just do it. It's like, genuinely do it tired, do it sad, do it scared, do it whatever you are feeling in the moment, because you're gonna be thanking yourself for doing that. So not thinking of like the instant gratification you're gonna get by hitting your alarm and getting 2 hours more of sleep, more so thinking of the actual reward of being like, wow, I finished all my work. And that was the great part, is I was finishing all my work from like 4:30 to 7:30 in the morning. I was on my phone like throughout the day or from time to time. The beautiful part of being in Thailand and Bali is half of everyone I was talking to was pretty much everyone I was talking to was asleep while I was awake. So it was kind of nice, but it was like, you just had to set boundaries and pace yourself throughout the day. Another thing too is like just setting boundaries with like notifications. Turn off notifications when you're on vacation, just to give yourself that separation. If you are someone who really struggles with like not checking your phone, or like you're constantly connected, like if you genuinely want that separation, just put boundaries in place with people and with things, with your phone, with social media, whatever it needs to be. And that will actually help you be more productive in the long run, because then you're more intentional when you do turn that stuff on. You need to have moments where it's like a light switch. You're on and then you're off. And like, it's hard for entrepreneurs in the beginning to have that, because everything just kind of feels like it molds together. Going back to even like your workouts feeling like they mold together as well. There's always going to be an excuse not to do it. There's always going to be reasonings and burnouts and different moments where you're going to be really challenged through it. But there's someone that has worked through that, and that someone is where I want to be. Like, those people who have worked through it are very much in the seat that I want to be in. And that's why, like, I'm buckled up and here for the ride, through the move, through everything, through, motherhood, things that come in the future. Like, I'm here for the future that I want to have. And my future does include me having travels and all of that. If it didn't, I wouldn't travel. If it didn't, I wouldn't move. Like, that's the reality of it.
Yeah. And I think also, just a side point of this all is like, it's kind of a flex when you have chaos, when you have a big move, when you're on vacation, whatever it is where you're just out of routine. It's kind of a flex to still get paid and be out of routine. Like, how fucking cool is it you just get an influx of money? Like, obviously it's not all about money. Let me also say that. Like, I genuinely coach because I actually am just super passionate about coaching, but it still feels pretty good. Like, when you're on PTO, you're not I mean, I guess you are getting paid because it's PTO. But it's still cool to see like a business thriving because of the work you do, both being in routine and being out of routine, that your business can stay steady. No matter what you're doing, no matter where you're located. And when you get to that point, it's really cool, but it does take, going through the trenches. So it's a good feeling. It's not easy. I don't want to make it sound like it's easy to just do that, but if you can stick to things amidst the chaos, having a steady business feels really, really good. Even if it feels hard right now, if you stick to it, like, it's going to pay off for you, and you'll have more freedom in the future if you just like buckle down and grind when it's hard.
Yeah. And the last like analogy I'll make, just relating like business chaos to just lifestyle chaos, is, if you have a client, you have two clients, one who every single time something happens in their life, they use it as an excuse not to track. Oh, I have a wedding. I'm just not going to track for the entire week because I have a wedding one day a week. Oh, this happened. I'm just not going to track at all. I'm just not, we've heard the excuses. You have one client who makes all the excuses. You have another client who says, hey, I have these things going on, and maybe they're tracking like 5 out of 7 days a week when the chaos happens, or even 4 out of 7 days. But maybe on their untracked days, they're still following like the rule of a balance plate. They're still doing things for themselves. They have habits in place. Who's going to make more progress at the end of the day? The person who's obviously going through with messy action and saying, hey, this shit just happened in my life, but I'm going to work through it. Same for business owners. You have the business owner, and like, I'll use myself as an example. My mother-in-law passing away, totally unexpected. Not something that any of us were planned for to experience this year. Could have used it as every excuse to say, hey, I'm just not going to follow through on anything this week because it's like there's a lot going on. I'm holding space for my partner who's going through this. There's just a lot of moving pieces, all this stuff. Or I can say, what can I do that still moves the needle forward, but still supports my partner, supports my family, and supports me through this time? Boundaries. That's all it is, was me saying, hey, and I think I had even said to you maybe one of the evenings, I was like, hey, I need to log off because like I just need to go be with Kenneth. Like I just need to go like spend time with him. And it's so much easier to just say, screw it, I'm not going to do it. But relating it to business, I'm going to make more progress in business if I just go through the trenches and make messy action, even if it's not perfect, versus saying, oh, because it's not perfect, I'm just not going to do anything at all. That's just like, that's the reality of it. So comparing that progress and seeing that something truly over nothing is going to help you in moments of chaos.
Yep. So true. Mic drop.
Mic drop.
So
I could yap about it all day.
I know. Yeah. If it's anything you take home, it's just, I think exactly that message that you said. It's like something is better than nothing. Just doing one thing to move the needle every day. I'll use Chris and I as an example to wrap up, is like, right now our biggest thing is messaging and making sure we're making our reach outs. And honestly, it's so hard for both of us to message people at the end of the night or at the beginning of the day, and just remembering to do it. But that's one of the things that does move the needle in our business. And so even if it is really freaking hard right now, and it's the last thing we want to do, like you sent your message last night of your reach outs and calls booked at the end of the night, and it was like 6 p.m. I think, and I was like, I literally just like, after the 2 days of getting back from vacation and like doing check-ins all day, it was the last thing I wanted to do. I went on and I did my due diligence, and I just did it, and was it fun or what I wanted to do? Not necessarily, but I just did it. And so I think when you keep that mindset of like, just do it, it's like the thing, like, do it hard, or do it hard.
do it hard.
Do it tired, do it exhausted, do it however you need, do it hard. I don't care. I mean,
do it when it feels hard, you know?
Thank you. Do it really hard. I don't know. I did it so hard last night. I just made all the messages. I just made it happen. Mm-hmm. On that note, that's all I have.
Yes. Thank you for listening. If you guys have the chaos in your life that's happening, send us a message, because we've been through it all, and we'll definitely make more episodes about it. I think like as Kelsey transitions into motherhood, as I go through my move and kind of going through more tangible tips that we have on like future podcast episodes, of even bringing like Kenneth on here and talking about the life of like me as a business owner, having a partner who does work, normal hours and like a very traditional job. It just kind of like gets my wheels turning for ideas. So if you guys have anything you want to see or people you want to see on here, let us know. Otherwise, thanks for listening. Links are in the show notes, and we'll see you next time.
See you in the next one.
Bye.
Bye.